So what we have learned in the last lecture is we have learned about the arithmetic sequence till now, and in the last lecture we have started with what a geometric sequence is. And what we have learned is what is the difference in a sequence and series is that we have learned that if we talk about the sequence, then we are getting some numbers which are separated by comma following a particular pattern. What we have observed is if we are talking about the arithmetic sequence, then each incoming number is just the sum of the previous number plus some common difference, and this is to be continued in the whole sequence. Similarly, if we talk about the geometric sequence, here each number is multiplied by a common ratio to the previous term, and this is continued in the whole sequence, and this is how we are getting the output. Correct. So these are the two things we have discussed, and then we have learned about how to write down the journal terms. We have done some of the examples. If we just discuss and summarize what we have learned, so in the arithmetic series, arithmetic sequence, what we have learned is that an can be written as a1 plus n minus 1 times d. This is what we have done. That if we have to write down the journal term, then we have it is the initial term a1 plus n minus 1 times d. You can verify the formulas if you have made some summary sheet. And similarly for geometric series, what we have an is equal to a1 into r raised to power n minus 1, where there d is the common difference, r is a common ratio. Then we have learned some of the examples in both arithmetic and geometric progression, that how to find out some of the terms for the given sequence and how to find out the particular terms. A lot of examples we have done. I think it's enough for the practice. If you have done this, then it's enough. Then we have started with the geometric series. In the geometric series, we have learned that we have to find out the sum. And the formulas we have learned that in the arithmetic series, if we talk about, then the sum is given by n by 2, a1 plus an, if we have to find out the nth partial sum. Similarly, here we have obtained the formula that if we are talking about the geometric sequence, then the partial sum is given by Sn is equal to a1, 1 minus Rn by 1 minus r. And as we have discussed that when it is infinite sequence, then we are getting a1 by 1 minus r. This is what we have learned. Correct. So we have done some of the examples based upon this, and then we have to move upon today's. Then we moved upon some of the examples based upon the same thing. We have find out the partial sums. We have seen how we can write down the fractions if some non-terminating decimal is given by writing out it is in a geometric form. So these are the important examples that we have covered, and I think one example was pending, this one. Here we have said that a certain ball bounces back to two-thirds of the height it fell down. Means if we have normally we see that if when we are throwing out a ball, it's come back, it's bounces actually. This is the technical term that we use. So it is said it bounces back to two-thirds of the height it fell from, and if the ball is initially dropped at 27 feet, approximate the total distance the ball travel. We have to find out that if we have thrown a ball from 27 feet and we know what is the criteria of its bouncing, then we have to look for approximate the total distance the ball has traveled. So how we are going to see, here we have initially we have the height from which it is being dropped is 27 feet. This is in the first go, we know that the ball is coming from the 27 feet. But since it's bounced back and we know how much it bounced back, it is given by two-thirds of 27. Two-thirds of 27, if I calculate, 3 nines are 27 and 9 twos are, it gives me 18. So it again goes to 18 feet. This is the height at the second bounce. Correct? And again, you have to use the same formula. It means what we are getting? We are getting a common ratio. Every time it bounces back and it's coming by a ratio 2 by 3. So here again, we have calculated that now it will bounce to 12 feet. Here, 12 feet height is there. Again, if we take 2 by 3 ratio along with them, we will get 3 fours are 12 and 4 twos are 8. So it will go for 8 feet and so on. So the heights is continuously decreasing, but there is a common ratio between the two heights that is given by 2 by 3. This is our R, the common ratio. Correct? and we have the first term a1. A1 is given as 27, initially the height from which it started. And if we have to find out the total distance traveled, so how we are going to find out? We have to find out the sum of the geometric series up to infinity when we have infinite, because here we can't say how many bounces. Some of the bounces we have counted, but actually it is going on, means we can't count, because we know that when the ball bounce, it used to bounce with a small length also, correct? So here we are considering the sum is given by a1 divided by 1 minus r. Earlier what we have done, when it is finite, it is a1 1 minus rn, a1 multiplied by as a whole 1 minus rn by 1 minus r. But now since we have taken it as an infinite, so this term is not coming, and we are taking s infinity is equal to a1 divided by 1 minus r. So we know the value of a1, we know the value of r. So on simplification, we are getting the value as 81, which is the total distance traveled by the ball. So here, therefore, the ball is following a total distance of 18 feet, and this forms a geometric series. Correct? So this completes our geometric series and arithmetic series. So as a whole, we have learned about the sequences and series. Now, the last lecture of this unit, today we are going to learn about binomial theorem. So let us start with that, and let me mark the attendance. Now those who are present at this moment, I'm going to mark their attendance, and I'm not going to take any request from others that they are present or not. You have to be here at the time of attendance only. Correct? Total 13 are being shown, and in 13, 3 are mine, Geeta Arora 3 times. It means total 10 are present here. Let's see who 3 are absent. Sahil. Gagandeep. Gagandeep, who has joined us.
Present,
Let
ma'am.
me. Okay, beta. Sanjeev,
Present, ma'am.
Shivani,
Present, ma'am.
Raghunath.
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
ठीक है बेटा. Ahona, Ahona, Subhadi, Subhadeep is here. Ahona is not seen by me. चलिए, Sumit,
Yes, ma'am.
Umesh, Umesh,
Yes, ma'am.
Antarpreet,
Present, ma'am.
Tanushri, Shahbaz Singh.
And ma'am. Yes.
But any one of these who are marked absent, is it? Are you there? Ahona and Tanushri. No, I think they are not sending any request and they are not here. So two are absent out of 13.
Ma'am, Sumit Bhattacharya, did you mark present? Ma'am, I can't hear because of network issues.
Pardon? Just speak again. Who is saying? Sumit, are you saying something? Who is saying? Let me know if there is any issue. I was not able to listen. Should I mark final attendance or somebody want to say something?
Um, Ma'am, is Sumit Bhattacharya present? Ma'am, I can't see or hear you properly due to network issues.
But please write down, your voice is not clear. Your attendance I have marked, Sumit, regarding Ahona and Tanushree. If you want to say something, please write down in the chat box. Sumit saying something?
Ma'am, nothing, ma'am. There is a network issues in my area today because of the cyclone nearby.
Okay, so who lives in your area, Ahona or Tanushree?
Ma'am, Auna also is in Bengal, so I think so she was also having network issues. I'm not sure. I have not been in contact.
Doesn't matter, beta. Then I can't do anything, you know. Let us start with the next thing, binomial theorem. Today we are going to start with a new topic, and it is very interesting and has a lot of applications also. So let's see what a binomial theorem is and how we are going to start with the basics. Here we are saying first we must know for the binomial theorem what is the factorial. So if we talk about any natural number n, its factorial can be calculated as n factorial. This is the representation, and it is the product of the numbers starting from n to n1 correspondingly. Means we can say it is the product of all natural number less than or equal to n. So we are going to take n multiplied by n minus 1 and minus 2 till we will get 1. Correct? So this is how some examples are written over here. That we have 1 factorial as 1, 3 factorial means 3 multiplied by the small number, next small number 2, 1, and so on. Similarly 5 factorial and 7 factorial. And one of the most important things that students normally confuse with is 0 factorial. So you have to note down that 0 factorial is 1. Correct? Because it is just a type of identity or property we have to use for the factorial sometime while working with it. And sometime we will get might be a negative number, but it's very rare chance. So factorial of a negative number is actually not defined. Correct? So these are some of the things, because here in binomial theorem we are going to use the factorial notation. One other formula we have is n factorial. If we are talking about the n factorial, then it can be written as a product of number n, whose factorial we are calculating, multiplied by factorial of n minus 1. And might be sometime we have used it in the simplification when we have learned for NCR, because there also we have to simplify the expression NCR by cancelling out the n factorial and minus r factorial. So here it is the same thing, that simplification whenever is required we can use it. If we have 8 factorial, for example, it can be written as 8 and 7 factorial. And how? Because we know 8 factorial can be written as 8 into 7 into 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we can write down 8 into this whole. And what is this whole is? 7 factorial. Similarly, how we can write down 7 factorial? I can write down it is 7, this 7 into this whole, it means 7 into 6 factorial. So that's why we are getting this general term that n factorial can be written as n into n minus 1 factorial. Right? So these are some identities related to binomial theorem. And just in order to practice, we have the first example, that evaluate 12 factorial by 6 factorial. So how we can do? Either I have to open this all, as here the author has shown us. It is again a snapshot from the NCERT book. So here we have 12, 11, 10 up to 1 divided by 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But since we are mathematics students, we have done a lot of work till now. How we can do? We can write down it as 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, and I will stop at 6 and write down then it is 6 factorial, because we know this whole is going to be 6 factorial. So there is no need to write down as a whole, you can just write down 7 into 6 factorial. And here already we have the denominator as 6 factorial, so you can cancel it out. Where they have done in the second step, you can do it directly also, correct? So when 6 factorial and 6 factorial will cancel out, you will get this product 12, 11, 10, 9, 18 into 7, and this will lead to this answer. So I have just gone through it quickly, because just it is a use of the formula, how to use a factorial. It's not concerned with the binomial theorem. So let's move on to the next part, and hope so you're getting what factorial is. If any doubts you have, you can let me know. I hope so you're getting the fact that factorial of a number means product of the number in a continuous way till the number is giving me 1, means the decrease all other, it's the product of the number and all the smaller number till 1, correct? Okay, next we are talking about a binomial coefficient. Binomial coefficient is denoted by NCK, and different books have the different notation. Some use this notation in bracket n and then k. Some use this notation n and k both in the subscript, but normally what I have followed and learned in most of the books is n must be at the superscript but at the front, and then c and followed by k. So lots of books have the different notations, but these are the common one. You can use any one of them, correct? So these are the combinations, that out of n items how we can choose k items, and this formula already we are aware of, we have learned in the probability, correct? So it's written over here that it is very important formula in the branch of mathematics called combinatorics. And what is this? It is giving us the number of ways k element can be chosen from a set of n elements where order doesn't matter. Where we have used the examples. I think what I memorize now is that we have learned that we have taken suppose I have to choose 3 students from a class of 12 students. So what we have done, 12C3, because we know their order doesn't matter. And we can take any number of students, but here if we have taken 3, so in how many ways we can take? It's 12C3. This is how we have adopted there regarding the combinations. Okay. So now let's go to the binomial theorem and see how to write it down. Here we are saying binomial theorem. As you can see here, binomial theorem provides a method of expanding, my pointer is here, expanding binomial raised to power without directly multiplying each factor. Means if I talk about what is x plus 2 square, suppose I am talking about x plus 2 square, so all of us remember the formula. A plus b square means a square, means I can write down x square, a square, plus b square means 4 plus 2ab. If you remember, this is the formula. Similarly, I can write down the formula for 3, 4, but as the power is going to increase, it's not feasible to take the value of the polynomial and multiply each time by the same term. And it's not feasible there. So that's why we have to use the binomial theorem. Means if I have to write down x plus 2, 5, here you can see x plus 2 raised to power 5. So it means I have to multiply x plus 2 5 times together, x plus 2 into x plus 2 into x plus 2 and so on. So it's very tedious when the power is large. Suppose here we have 15. So obviously it's not feasible. So in that case, if I need sum of the coefficient, what we can do, we can go for the binomial theorem, and using the combination formula, easily I can find out which term has which coefficient. Correct? So here what we have, here I have written sum of the general term x plus y raised to power n can be written as, the first one is NC0. This is how we have to read it. What we can say, it is NC0 x raised to power n into y raised to power 0 plus second term is NC1 x raised to power n minus 1. How we are doing? If it is NC0, na, just you have to remember that the topmost or the frontmost is going for the power of x, and this one, the base one, is going to the power of y. And then along with this, you have to multiply x raised to power something and y raised to power something, which is to be calculated from here. And here it is NC0. It will goes on till NCn minus 1. Correct? So here we have NC0 xn y raised to power 0, NC1 xn minus 1 y1. So here what we have, n as such, the next term is coming as the difference of n and 1, n minus 1, y1 as such. Then it is NC2, the difference of 2 is n minus 2 and y raised to power 2. And up to the last, where we have n c n minus 1, x raised to power 1 and y n minus 1. I think one term is missing here. Here we must have one more term, NCN. I think it's there, but when I have copied and pasted, this part is missing. You know? So let me write on the last term. It is x raised to power 0 and y raised to power n. Means the difference of 2, NCN gives me 0, the coefficient of x or the power of x, and y raised to power of this. So it is n. And the same thing compactly can be learned as, and it's I think the easiest way to learn binomial theorem. We have k is from 0 to n. We have already worked with the summation, so I hope so you know how to open a summation. So here we have summation k from 0 to n, nck x raised to power n minus k, the difference of 2, and y raised to power this denominator k. So this is what we have, the binomial theorem, which is used to open the expressions like this, and x and y can be replaced by any numeric value. Here we have the variables, but it can be replaced by any of the numerical value to get the desired results. Hope so we are getting. Write down this formula, because now we are going to start with the examples also. Some solved examples, some example you have to solve. So be sure to go through it. Let us start with, you have to explain x plus 2 raised to power 5. So here if I see, what is our y? Y value is 2 and it is x plus 2 raised to power 5. So from where to where we have to go? We have to go from 0 to 5. So if I go back, what is the summation? Summation is from k. Write it down please. K is equal to 0 plus 5 nck, correct? N is 5. So we can write down also 5ck x raised to power 5 minus k and yk, correct? Or if I put k as 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on, what I will get? It's 5c0 x5 and y raised to power 0. If whenever we are going to start with the first variable is raised to the maximum power, and when we are going to end, here you can see when it is x plus y raised to n. So here x raised to power n and y is 0. If y is 0 means 1. So here we have the maximum value of the first variable, and at the end this last term is having the maximum value of the y raised to power n, because x0 is again going to give me the value 1. Correct? So try to write down in your notebook. And let me tell you some more hints in order to make it fast. That whenever we have NC0 means, if I open it, it becomes 5 factorial, 5 factorial and 0 factorial. It means we have NC0 as 1. 5 factorial we cancel out 5 factorial, and 0 factorial we have learned is 1. So the first term will be x5. Similarly, if I talk about 5c1, what is 5c1? NC1, you can note it down, is always n. These are the formulas which are not here. So let me discuss about this also, because normally we are never going to open n factorial by r factorial and n minus r factorial, especially in the binomial theorem. So let me show you the solution and discuss from here, because it's not a thing that need so much efforts. See, here we have x plus 2 raised to power 5. We are saying 5c0 x raised to power 5. This first term raised to the maximum value, and 2 raised to power 0 means 2 is not existing here. Correct? And if we talk about what is 5c0, so you can note it down whenever we have nc0. So nc0 is always 1. So what we are getting from the first term, we are getting only x5. Here you can check the value is x5. Correct? Second term we are saying nc1. So what is the formula for nc1? nc1 is always given as n. So here if I check, here the term is giving me 5 into x raised to power. Here we have 5. The next term is reducing by 1. There is no need to subtract and waste your time. Directly we can write down here if we have x5, here it is x4, then it is x3, then x2, and x1 means it's going to be decreased continuously. Right? And similarly, when 2 raised to power 0 was there, then the next term will be 2, 2 square, 2 cube, 2, 4, and up to 2 raised to power 5. Let me see if the complete snapshot is there. Yes, it's okay. I think no, it's not calculated correctly, or you can say the snapshot is not taken properly. It's actually going up to NC means 5C5, and the final term will be x raised to power 0 means 1, and we will have 2 raised to power 5. This is the last term which is missing over here. Correct? So if I have to write down directly what the value is, this is NC0 means 1, and it gives me the only term x5. First term is x5. Second term is NC1. What we have learned, NC1 is n. So it is 5 from here, 2 from here, 5 into 2, 10, and x4. So it is 10x4, and it is 5c2. Now when we are talking about NC2, what is the formula that we have to learn? NC2 can be learned as n into n minus 1 by 2. These are coming obviously from the same formula that we have written, but this is how we have learned. NC1 is n, NC2 means n into n minus 1 by 2, means it is 5 into 4 n minus 1 divided by 2. So it gives me 10, and 10 into 4 gives me 40. So here we have 40x cube. And from here NC3, okay, one more formula that I want to share, that whenever we are working with NCR, it is similar as NC n minus R, because it is also very useful in the binomial theorem. It means if I have calculated NC2 in here, if I have calculated 5C2, it is same as 5C3, isn't it? If I have 5C2 as R, then it is same as 5C3. It means here we are getting the value 10 by simplification, so it is also 10. If we are getting 5C4, it is same as 5C1. It means it is 5. Right? And 5C5 and Cn is always 1. So from here we can write down 80, 10 into this 8. 80 x square, this term. From here we have 5 here, and it is 2 raised to power 4. 2 to the 4 to the 8 is 16. 16 into 5 again gives me 80. 80 into x. And finally 2 raised to power 5 gives me 32. So the last term is coming as 32. So this is our answer of the expansion of x plus 2 raised to power 5. But if any doubts you are getting, be sure to ask me. Otherwise, this is the first example which give me the whole gist of what our binomial theorem is and how we are going to use it. If you get the things, try for this. You have to expand using the binomial theorem. And I will not be able to say that write down the whole expression, because obviously it's most difficult type of thing that the whole expression is to be typed here in the chat box. So just write down what the last term is so that I can see how many of it are active. Try to find out the output. Here in place of x we are getting u, in place of y we have v. So let me dictate it and let's see how we can do. The first term if I have to write is 4 is the value of n, so we can write down n c 0, correct? So if I have to write down, I can have 4c0 nc0 u raised to power 4, the maximum one, and minus of 2v raised to power 0, so I'm not going to write it. Then we have plus 4c1 into this u power is going to be decreased. From 4 we are going to get 3. Then we have minus 2v was not present in the first term, it's going to be present here because here we have 1. Then what we have 4c2 and u power is going to be then we have u raised to power 2 u2, and then we have minus 2v raised to power 2. And one more thing that I can let you know, that every time when you are giving the powers now you can add, the sum should be 4. Whatever x and y are, the sum of the powers should be in. Here you can see the first one we are getting 4. In the second we have u cube and v1, so total power is 4. Again in the third one u2 and v also 2, so again we are getting 4, it means we are going on correctly. So here we have 4c0 4c1 4c2, the next is 4c3. Yes, better start writing out. If you have done with your pen and paper, you can do it fast as compared to me. It's 4c3 u3 u1, no, u must be with 1, the difference, u is going to be decreased, and minus 2v is going to increase in the power, so minus 2v raised to power 3, and the last term is 4c4 u will not be there, it's raised to power 0, so I have not written here as I have only u, here we are only v. So the second term is minus 2v and it raised to power the maximum, which is 4. So you can check 3 plus 1 4, 2 plus 2 4, 3 plus 1 and 4. So this is the expansion where we can say what is 4c0. 4c0 is 1, so we will have only u4, correct? 4c1 nc1 is always n, so it is plus 4 u cube and it is multiplied by minus 2v. So if I have to write down, the next we can write down minus 8 u cube v. I have not multiplied till. The next we have 4c2. nc1 is n, nc2 means n into n minus 1 divided by 2 of factorial 2. It's the same thing. So we are getting on simplification 6. It is 6 u square into minus 2v whole square. Minus 2 square is 4 and it is v square. And we have nc3, 4c3. 4c3 same as 4c1 and 4c1 is 4. So it is 4 u raised to power 1 and minus 2v as such, or I can write down 2 to the 4 to the 8. We can write down 2 cube as 8, correct, and v cube. And 4c4 is also 1. It is same as 4c0. So it is 2 to the 4 to the 8 to the 16, which is in positive, and v raised to power 4. So I have written the last term. Until now I have not obtained the values from you. You have to let me know you are active or not. So let's see. So this is what we are getting. The final results is same. We are getting u4 minus of 8 u cube v, u4 minus of 8. Here you can check the answer directly. Minus of 8 u cube v. Then we have 6 4 the 24 u square v square. It's same 24 u square v square. Then we have 4 into minus 8. Minus of 32 u into v cube. So this is, and the last term we have is 16 v4. So it is the last term that I have asked from you, but you have not answered. Huh? This is not good. I hope so you are getting. Any doubts, but if you have, let me know. So today this is the concept, and now onwards we have only
अपलोड
the.
कर देना
हाँ जी बेटा, Sumita, are you getting it?
मैम आप प्लीज ये वीडियो अपलोड कर देना क्योंकि बहुत कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है मैम वो वॉइस ब्रेक हो रहा है बार बार तो आप जरा ये वीडियो अपलोड कर देना बाद में
Sure beta, I will upload it. Chalo, so let us start with more examples what we have. This we have discussed, and now we have some of the examples taken from the exercise. Correct? What already given in the chapters as the solutions and the examples we have discussed. Now we have still to go for more examples taken from the exercises of the binomial theorem. So let's start with it. Here we have explain the expression, and the expression is given as 2 by x minus of x by 2 raised to power 5. So what we have been provided with some p by q form of x and some p by q form of y, and both are coming in x. So let's see how we are going to expand it. So the formula you have to remember is same. So if we have negative sign, you have to deal y with the negative one. If we have a positive one, obviously it is just the formula we have. So here we have, if we start with x minus y raised to power 5, so formula is going to start with nc0 means 5c0. The first one is 2 by x. So whatever the first term is, we have to take this as x in my formula, and the same, the second one is y in the formula. So if I write down nc0 means 5c0, x raised to power 5 and y raised to power 0. Then nc1, x raised to power 4 and this y raised to power 1. Then nc2, x raised to power 3, y raised to power 2. The sum is 5. Then 5c3, 5c4, and in similar manner 5c5. And just here you need to simplify the things accurately, and nothing more is to be discussed here. What I think is, let's see, okay, let me tell and confirm what the values we are getting. nc0 is 1, correct? So we are getting from here 2 raised to power 5 divided by x raised to power 5, because here this term is going to be 0. I hope so all of you know that n raised to power 0 is always 1, whatever n is. Similarly, here we are getting this term raised to power 0 as 1. So from here we are getting 32 by x5. nc1, as we have done, nc1 is n, means here we have 5. Then 2 raised to power 4 by x4 is 16 by x4. And this negative x by 2 is giving the sign here, and it's x by 2, which is simplified. X will cancel out this 4, 2 will cancel out this 8 times, and it will give me 8 by x cube into this 5, means minus 40 by x cube. So this is how we are getting the calculation. If we talk about nc2, so nc2 means n into n minus 1 by 2. So n into n minus 1 divided by 2. So here we have 2 2s are 4 and 5 2s are gives me 10. Similarly, 5c2 is same to 5c3. You can calculate it again, but it's same as 5c2. So it is 10, 5c4 is 5, and 5c5 is 1. So here, just by simplification, we are getting the final answers. Correct? Now here we have a different type of questions. Till now we have learned regarding the x and y type of expressions. Now we are saying, as I told you earlier, that binomial theorem has a lot of applications, and sometimes it is used for the expansion of something, and it could be any number, it could be any expression raised to power n. So here we have an example. We have to use binomial theorem to evaluate 96 raised to power 3. So how we can do it? If I have to do it manually also, what I can do, that either I will multiply 96 into 96 into 96, 3 times 96 to be multiplied, or somebody can use the trick that 96 can be used as 100 minus 4 raised to power cube. It can be done, and then we can use the formula of a minus b whole cube. So both are valid. Depends upon which you have practiced well, you can get the answer. If you are very versed about the normal multiplication, you have practiced enough, you can do in less time, or you can use the formula of a minus b whole cube to get the answer. Here what we are going to do, we are also going to write down it as 100 minus 4 cube, but might be we are not aware of the Q formula, or sometime we know that at the time of examination we forgot all the formulas and say, oh, formula galat tha, hai na? Otherwise we can get an answer. So here what we can see, that how we can derive the formula also for the small powers or any power of n. So here we have, if we have this 100 minus 4 raised to power cube, as I have discussed, so it can be written as x minus y raised to power 3. So how it's the formula is nc0, where n is 3. So 3c0, this x raised to power 3 into minus 4 raised to power 0 plus 3c1. The power of 100 is going to be decreased from 3 to 1 and finally 0. And the power of 4 increasing, minus 4 is raised to power 0, 1, 2 and 3. So using the binomial theorem, we can simplify it, and hence we can find out the value. Correct? This is how we have obtained the 96 raised to power 3 by writing out first it as 100 minus 4, and then using the power of 3. Either we remember the formula, we can use it, or we can use the binomial theorem to find out the expansion of any x minus or x plus y raised to power n. Here might be you are getting some idea. Anyone can let me know how we are going to write down 102 raised to power 5? Be sure to write down in your chat box. 102 raised to power 5. Either I am going to multiply 100 to 5 times. Obviously it can be done. But here the author is saying you have to use binomial theorem to evaluate 102 raised to power 5. Yes, write down please. 102 can be written as
100 plus 2.
100 plus 2, correct. So we can take x as 100 and y as 2, and then we can expand 100 plus 2 raised to power 5. Obviously it's the correct answer. So here we have 100. Where is 100 plus 2 raised to power 5? So we can take x plus y raised to power 5, open the formula, nc0, x5, 20, 5c1, 100 raised to power 4, 2 raised to power 1, and so on. And using all these values, calculating numerically and hence finding out the sum, we can find out 102 raised to power 5. Right? So this is how we are doing it. Here we have one more example. It's based upon the binomial theorem. Again, we are saying using binomial theorem, what we have to do, we have to indicate which is larger, 1.1 raised to power 10,000 or 1,000. Right? So here we have to show it with the help of a binomial theorem, that which one is larger. So how we can say, let's discuss it. Here the first thing is obviously 1,000 is a numeric value, and here we are looking for something which is raised to power 10,000. So obviously we have to apply the binomial theorem here, correct? And if I have to apply it, how we can write down? 1.1 can be written as 1 plus 0.1 raised to power 10,000, correct? And if I open it, this is our x. X is 1, y is 0.1, x plus y raised to power this n. So what the first term is, as we have learned, the first term is x raised to the power of maximum, x raised to power n. with NC0. So NC0 means obviously 1. So it's, if we are writing out or not, it's x raised to power n, and x is 1. So 1 raised to 10,000 is also 1. So here we are getting the value as 1, the first value. Next value is NC1. NC1 means n, and we are going to multiply it with 0.1, because here the first value is 1. We can write on 1 raised to power something, and but 0.1 is raised to power 1 only, correct? So 0.1 into 10,000 gives me 1000, and other terms there is no need to calculate. That's why we have written plus other positive terms. Why? Because obviously we have to just check if it is 1000, less than 1000 or more than 1000. So if we are getting 1000 plus 1, so obviously it is larger than 1000, and whatever other terms are coming doesn't matter. So this is how, using your own logic, you can find out which one of the solutions will suit you in the examination. It's not so that you have to expend the whole term. There is not requirement. Depending upon whatever is being asked for, you have to give that answer. Doesn't matter how much accuracy, whatever is required, that you have to see only. Otherwise, it is just a matter of time. Here we have a different type of example. We are saying, show that this 9 raised to power n plus 1 minus 8n minus 9 is divisible by 64. This is a different type of examples we are looking at. So how to do it? Let's see. Again, we are going to use the binomial theorem. And these type of examples are very different as compared to the other one, because here if a student have not seen these type of example, it's not feasible to do at the particular time. So here what we have written the formula for 1 plus x raised to power n plus 1, because here we are getting n plus 1. So what we have done, we have taken 1 plus x raised to power n plus 1. How we can write down? The first term is 1, the second term is x. So as the first term we have 1. If I open it, it is NC0 x raised to power 0, it means 1, plus n plus 1 C1 x raised to power 1, n plus 1 C2 x square, and the last term is x raised to power n plus 1. Now what we have, if I take x as 8, x as 8 gives me this 9 raised to power n plus 1. Correct? And let's see how it can be written, because the first thing that you have to note down is we are getting 8 and 9, and we know 9 can be written as 8 plus 1. So here if I take x as 8, so we are getting the value of 9 and plus 1, and by using the binomial theorem, we can write it as 1 plus n plus 1 into 8 plus n plus 1 C2 into 8 square, and so on. But what we need is, we need to show that this is divisible by 64. So we have to take 64 somewhere common, and to make this expression 8n minus 9. So what we have done, from the first term we are getting 1. From the second term we are getting n plus 1 into 8. So we have used here 8n and 8 plus 1 9, and move it to the other side. On moving to this side, we are getting 9 plus 9 raised to n power n plus 1 minus this 8n and minus of 9. If you move it here, and here you can see we have taken 8 square common. So when we have taken 8 square as common, so whatever the terms are there, they are lying over here. And what we can see, that this expression can be written as 64 into some value. Whatever the value are, we are not focusing upon, because we have just to show that this whole expression is divisible by 64. So mark it as important. According to me, this is a different type of example that you must have to practice, and might be if some examples of this type are there in the chapter, try to get the solution. Because here if you are doing, then you will only learn that how to show that this whole expression can be written as a product of which two other numbers, as here we have seen. So only one slide is left with. let us finish it. And in between, if you are getting some doubt, be sure to ask me. Here we have, I think the question is cut. Here we have find the middle terms in the expansion of, it must be 3 minus x cube by 6 raised to power 7. Correct? So here we have talked about the middle term. Middle term means whatever the terms are coming in between. And how to write on a general term, as if we just see how the terms are written, then if we have this expression 3 minus x cube by 6 raised to power 7, then the general term tr plus 1 can be written as ncr. This is our n value is 7, so it is ncr this x raised to power n minus r that we have learned. Here it's written, you can see from here we have taken for x plus y, so obviously it's for x plus y we can take x raised to power n minus r and y raised to power r. If you just observe, this is what we are getting as a general term. So here we have written for this given expression the general term. So they are asking about the middle term. Middle term means if we have n which is 7, so we are going to start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have to find out the middle term. So they are saying the middle terms are the fourth term and the fifth term. Okay? And this is how we normally calculate the mid values, medians. No? So here we have these terms are only calculated as T4 and T5 using this formula. Taking R as 3, you can calculate T4, and taking R as 4, you can calculate T5. Here we have talked about the middle terms, but normally that we have started with, that examiner can ask you find out these particular terms from this expression. Either it could be arithmetic series or geometric series as we have seen, or here in the binomial theorem we have the expansion. Correct? So this is what we have till now in the second unit. So this finishes the second unit concept, the sequences, series and the binomial theorem. The next we are going to work with is related to the trigonometry. So be sure to be there in the next one.